Carly grumbled as she tossed the unstained panty liner into the trash. She despised everything about having a period. The cramps, bloating, and mood swings did nothing to endear her to womanhood. If only she hadn't realized sooner that Mark wouldn't reciprocate. "You didn't change back?" Julia asked, entering the bathroom and starting the shower. "I was going to shower." "Too slow." Julia giggled, dropping her towel into the tub. Despite being in a female form, Carly couldn't get used to how casually her sister and mother treated nudity when just the girls were around. They never acted like this when Charles was present. "You didn't answer my question. Are you still having your period?" Julia called over the running water. "No." "So, now what?" "I deal with it like I always have. At least I don't feel so cruddy anymore." "The first one is the worst," Julia noted. "Aha. Are you going to be much longer?" "I have to shave today." Julia giggled. "Why?" I'm out of clean pants." Okay, I'll hurry," Julia replied, stepping out of the shower. "I was hoping you'd change back," Samantha said, joining Carly on the walk to school. "Me too, but the spell seems to have its own timing," Carly replied, adjusting her books. "Girls don't hold books like that, Char." "What difference does it make?" Carly shifted her books against her chest. "We hold them like this," Samantha demonstrated. "This is crazy," Carly muttered. "Have you heard anything about Mark?" "Mark? Rumors?" Samantha shook her head. "Emily's still upset with you. She can have him." "That brings up something," Samantha said. "What about us when you're Carly? What do we need to do? When you're like this, you're attracted to boys. I don't expect you to be celibate." "Samantha." "No, really. I can wait for Charles, but I don't expect you to." "I'm not dating anyone else," Carly insisted. "Daniel asked you out," Samantha pointed out. "I said no." "Maybe you should say yes." "Why?" Carly sounded exasperated. "Carly, stop resisting. Gia wants you to embrace the female experience, and you will." "I'm trying to be understanding here." "I still don't understand." Samantha sighed. "I don't want our relationship to interfere with Gia's plans. What if it somehow prevents you from changing back?" I couldn't bear the thought of being the reason. "That won't happen," Carly insisted. "Just cooperate with me, okay?" "So, you want me to say yes to Daniel?" Samantha nodded. "Fine," Carly relented. "If it makes you feel better, I'll go on a date with Daniel." "But I won't enjoy it." "Hey," Carly greeted Daniel Harris as she sat down beside him in the cafeteria at lunch. "What's new?" "Not much, same old stuff." "Yeah. What's Emily's deal with you?" Daniel suddenly asked. "She's giving you the evil eye from across the room." "She thinks I'm after her boyfriend," Carly sighed. "He dumped her," Daniel pointed out. "Really?" "I heard it in gym class today." "Interesting," Carly shrugged. "Are you planning to go out with him?" Daniel inquired. "No." "Well, I just thought." "You thought wrong. I wouldn't date him if he was the last guy on earth." Daniel looked uncomfortable. "I guess I misunderstood," he admitted. "Is your offer for tonight still open?" Carly asked. "What?" Sure, I guess." "Okay, I accept." "Huh?" Daniel looked perplexed by the sudden change in topic. "I want to go out with you tonight." "Where are we going?" "To a movie?" Daniel suggested. "You mean you didn't have plans when you asked me?" "A movie," Daniel decided, sounding more certain. Fine, pick me up at 7, Carly smiled. Carly hummed lightly to herself as she applied her makeup carefully. She studied her reflection critically before deciding it was satisfactory. I'm getting too good at this, she mused. Hot date? Allison asked, grinning silly from the bathroom doorway. Just Daniel, Carly replied. We're going to see a movie. You're putting on date makeup for a movie? Well, in a dark theater? We won't be in the theater the whole time, Carly defended. Just making sure you're clear, Allison grinned at her stepdaughter. You're getting the hang of this. Don't remind me, Carly grumbled. Does Samantha know about your date? Carly nodded. And? She encouraged me to go out with him, Carly admitted. Smart move. You had a talk with her, didn't you? Carly accused. Yep. It's crucial, Carly, that nothing interferes with the spell cycles. I made sure Samantha won't feel jealous about this. Small mercy. Actually, it's a big one. Jealousy can be ugly. They both turned at the sound of the doorbell. He's here. Carly panicked. I'm not ready yet. Typical, Allison chuckled. Hurry up, and I'll keep Daniel entertained. Lord of the Rings? Daniel asked. I haven't seen it yet. I've seen it, but I wouldn't mind watching it again, Carly agreed as Daniel approached the counter to buy their tickets. You look really nice tonight, Carly, Daniel commented, blushing slightly. Thank you, Carly smiled. You look good too. Daniel blushed even more. Wow, I love that movie, Carly gushed as they both blinked in the sudden brightness of the lobby. Yeah, it was worth the wait, Daniel agreed. I bet it'll do well at the Oscars. Probably, Carly agreed. Want to grab something to eat? Daniel suggested. Sure. Daniel drove them to Dairy Queen, chatting eagerly about the movie. Despite her vow not to enjoy herself, Carly found herself having a good time. Daniel had been a perfect gentleman all evening, a stark contrast to Gerald's possessive behavior on their previous dates. Daniel seated her at a booth before going to order. While waiting, Carly scanned the restaurant, noting the usual crowd of teens, including Mark Reynolds and the football team. Emily Taylor was nowhere in sight, and Mark seemed to be alone, unlike the others. Serves him right, Carly thought. One brawny earthquake for Madam, one banana split for myself, Daniel announced as he set the treats on the table. Oh yum, Carly smiled, picking up her spoon. Did you have a good time? Daniel asked, sounding uncertain. I did. Actually, I had a lot of fun. Thank you. Really? Yes, really. Shouldn't I have? Carly teased. Girls usually avoid me, Daniel admitted. I'm not exactly the studly type. You're fine, Carly assured him. Don't pay attention to what cheerleaders say. I had fun, and you're plenty handsome for me. Carly was surprised at herself for saying that. Daniel smiled in relief and began eating his dessert. Hey babe, Mark Reynolds said, sliding into the booth beside her, completely ignoring Daniel. What do you want? Carly asked coldly. I'm busy right now. I broke up with Emily. So, how about you and me? Are you dense? Carly snapped. After what you pulled, I wouldn't date you if you were the last guy on earth. Besides, I'm on a date right now. With him? Mark sneered, dismissing Daniel. The geek? Daniel looked uncomfortable, shrinking back in his seat and giving Carly a helpless look. He's not a geek. Carly retorted. Sure he is, Mark grinned, turning to Daniel. Beat it, geek. The lady needs a real man. Carly had enough. She scooped up her dessert in one hand and mashed it into Mark's face. "Let's go, Daniel." "There are too many jerks in this place," she said calmly, despite her racing heart, as Mark fell back in surprise. "You jerk!" Mark shouted as he wiped the dessert from his face amid laughter from his friends in the corner. "Your geek boyfriend is in trouble the next time I catch him," he threatened as Daniel and Carly exited the restaurant. "What did you do?" Samantha demanded over the phone, chuckling. "I shoved my dessert into his face," Carly repeated, still surprised by her own actions. "Such a waste of a good brownie earthquake." "What did he do then?" "He yelled at me and threatened Daniel." "Do you think he'll actually do anything?" "I don't know." "Not towards you. Girls can sometimes get away with that kind of thing," Samantha said. "I guess if I were still Charles, I'd be in trouble right now." "Probably," Samantha agreed, still amused. "That was such a bold move, very girl of you." "Yeah, it just felt right at the moment. Enjoy it while it lasts." Carly felt the familiar tingling of the spell taking effect. "It's happening," she told Samantha over the phone. "Happening?" "Done," Charles said gleefully. "And my favorite pajamas are back too." "Woohoo! My boyfriend's back." Samantha sounded equally delighted. "Want to go out tomorrow night?" Charles asked. "Absolutely. It's been too long." "Oops, gotta run. Mom's at the door." "Okay. Kiss, kiss." "Kiss, kiss," Charles replied, hanging up the phone. "What's going on?" Allison asked as she entered the bedroom. "I'm not sure," Charles admitted. "We were just talking about my date with Daniel and what happened at Dairy Queen when I changed back." "That seems like an unlikely trigger," Allison pondered. Charles shrugged. "I don't care why it happened, I'm just glad to be back. Samantha and I are going out tomorrow to celebrate." "Yes, I'm sure she's thrilled as well." Charles?" "Yeah?" Charles responded, looking at Samantha with curiosity. "Guys don't carry their books against their chests." "Oh shoot." Charles quickly adjusted his books under his arm. "It's hard to keep all this straight," he grumbled. "You're not alone," Samantha giggled. "What do you want to do tonight?" "I was thinking dinner followed by a walk along the pier." "Wow, that's incredibly romantic." "I didn't know you had it in you." Charles blushed. "I've learned a few things from the other side," he reminded her. "I could definitely get used to this," Samantha grinned, slipping her hand into his. "Maybe all guys should experience this?" "Misery loves company," Charles agreed. "Oh, come on, it wasn't that bad, was it?" "I guess not. Though I could do without the whole period thing. And I really missed being able to hold your hand." "Yep, I could definitely get used to this." "How's it going?" Charles asked as he sat down beside Daniel at lunch. Ugh. Ugh. "Yeah, I've been avoiding Mark Reynolds all day," Daniel explained. "Why is that?" "You remember me accidentally spilling dessert on him at Dairy Queen yesterday? He's been after me ever since." Yeah," Charles said, trying not to show his confusion since his memory of events was quite different. "Well, he won't try anything here," Charles assured him. "That's why I'm here." "Where's Samantha?" "In the library, she has a test today." "You're lucky," Daniel remarked. "Yeah, I suppose I am." Charles found himself humming while he shaved the scant whiskers he had managed to grow. "This is something I could do without on the guy's side," he decided. "Then again, it's less area to cover than my legs." "Mumbling to yourself?" Julia asked from the doorway. "It's a sign that you're losing your sanity, you know." "Hardly," Charles grinned. "It's the natural inclination of the wise to have conversations with the smartest people around." "Ha!" Don't you have brooms to fly? I'm trying to get ready. Don't let Mom hear you say that, Julia warned, sticking out her tongue. So, where are you taking Samantha? Dinner and a walk on the pier. Romantic. Looks like Gia knew what she was doing, Julia observed. I could think of easier ways. It wouldn't be the same. I'll tell you one thing though, it's much simpler to get ready as a guy, Charles remarked. That's a pretty good lesson to learn. I don't think that's exactly what she had in mind, Julia replied. That was delicious, Samantha sighed happily as she leaned back in her chair. Charles smiled in agreement as he looked at her in the candlelight at their table. He continued to marvel at how beautiful Samantha had become since she had come out of her shell for the dance. I don't think I could eat another bite, he said, placing some money on the check left by the waiter. Charles stood and helped Samantha to her feet. Shall we take a walk? The moon looks amazing over the water already. The young couple strolled casually down to the end of the pier and sat at the edge, gazing out across the water. They marveled at the moon's reflection shimmering across the city lights in the gently rolling waves. Tell me, how does one become associated with Gia? Samantha asked as she nestled under Charles's arm. I'm not sure, my family has always had the association, I think. There must have been a first time. Maybe, Charles considered. It's lost in my family's long history though. Why do you ask? I've been thinking more about Gia, Samantha explained. I suppose I'm not surprised. She's a bit hard to reconcile with the Christian God though. I don't think my family would understand. About me? No, silly, about me. Are you saying you want to join us? Charles asked. I've been pondering it, Samantha admitted. I have to admire her direct approach. They are direct, that's for sure. That's what I mean. God, for example, seems distant now. I guess, if he exists, he was more hands-on in the past, but it doesn't feel that way anymore. Gia's children don't really believe in God, Charles informed her. We have very direct evidence for Gia, but not for God. Which is why I'm questioning my faith. We also have no evidence that he doesn't exist, Charles pointed out. Perhaps he is distant, respecting free will and all. Doesn't Gia believe in free will? Samantha asked curiously. Sure, but free will doesn't absolve one from consequences. That's something else I can attest to. Gia's consequences seem immediate, while God's are promised in the future. I guess I'm a little uncertain now. The church teaches that magic is the domain of the devil, but I haven't seen anything like that in your family. Fear of the unknown, Charles shrugged, a little sadly. Magic isn't inherently evil, it's simply directed energy. It's not what it is, but how it's used that determines its morality. It's like fire. Can you teach me? I can't, I'm barely capable of much myself. But we can talk to my mom about it. Do you think she'll be upset? Nope. In fact, she'll probably be thrilled at the idea. Are you sure about this, though? What about your parents? They'll just have to accept it. Besides, they aren't that religious, they just observe major holidays. They believe, but they aren't particularly strict about it, Samantha shrugged. We'll talk to my mom. Sunday? I thought you couldn't eat another bite? Samantha laughed. Ice cream doesn't count, it fills in the gaps. Sure. Can we share one? Deal. You have no idea, the dragons I had to face to retrieve this fabulous treasure, Charles chuckled as he set the giant sundae down in front of Samantha. My hero! Samantha exclaimed as she scooped up a spoonful. How did the test go? Charles asked as he grabbed a spoon for himself. Great. I aced it, Samantha reported. As usual. Beauty and brains. I'm very lucky, Charles grinned. Don't you forget it, Samantha mock-groaned as she poked him in the chest. I don't see the jock crowd in here tonight, Charles observed, scanning the Dairy Queen. No wonder it smells fresher in here, Samantha joked. Hey! Daniel Harris called from the entrance. Is the coast clear? Charles looked around before calling out, clear. Daniel slid into the booth beside Charles. Phew, he gasped. What's up with you? Samantha asked him. I've been dodging Mark Reynolds all day ever since I accidentally dumped that sundae on him, Daniel explained. Huh? Yeah. Charles and I were here last night, and Reynolds was bothering us. When we tried to get past him, I sort of dropped my sundae on his face. I've been running for my life ever since. Samantha burst into laughter. It's not funny, Samantha. He's going to kill me, Daniel protested. You deserve it, you little geek, Mark Reynolds snarled, appearing behind them. Oh, crap. Why don't you make this easier and I won't beat you up as hard, Mark suggested, gripping Daniel's shoulder. Why don't you get a life, Mark? Charles interjected, standing up. Shut up, Stuart, or I'll make sure you regret it. It's your own fault, Charles persisted, ignoring the threat. If you had just left us alone, none of this would have happened. Look, I already told you to shut up, Mark growled. One geek, two geeks, it makes no difference to me. Charles scooped up the sundae. You're a jerk, he said, then slammed the sundae into Mark's face. Run! Samantha shouted, grabbing Charles and Daniel by the hand as Mark struggled to regain his balance and wipe the chocolate and ice cream from his face. You're in trouble, Stuart. Mark yelled as he searched for napkins. What? He demanded, feeling a strong hand on his arm. Young man, I've had enough of your behavior in my store, the Dairy Queen owner reprimanded him. I didn't do anything. Mark protested. That's quite true, you didn't do nothing, you did something, and I've had enough of it. Leave this property now, and you're banned for 2 months. Use this time to grow up. Damn you! Mark snapped as he was escorted out the door. Make it 3 months. You're off to a bad start, the owner added sternly. Mark clenched his jaw shut. He wanted to curse at the owner, but he knew better than to escalate things. 3 months was bad enough, a permanent ban would be worse. I'm going to get back at that geek, he muttered to himself. I can't believe you did that, Daniel said for the 4th time as he drove Charles home after dropping off Samantha. Will you stop bringing it up? Charles demanded. Daniel chuckled. Guys don't usually do that, Charles, he teased. That's something a girl would do. Well, I wasn't going to fight him. Charles protested, shooting Daniel a glare. Well, now we're both on his hit list, Daniel noted as he backed the car into the driveway. At least you're home safe. See you tomorrow? 2 pairs of eyes are better than 1. Sure thing, man. Thanks for the ride. No problem. Wait a minute. You pulled a Carly? Allison asked with a grin. It was a reflex, Charles grimaced. Julia doubled over the kitchen counter, laughing uncontrollably. Will you cut it out? Charles demanded of his sister, sounding irritated. Julia only laughed harder. Charles, dear, it's rather amusing when you think about it, Allison added, struggling to stifle her own laughter. It won't be funny when you're identifying my body in the morgue, Charles retorted. Enough with the drama. Guys usually handle things differently, Julia finally managed to say, reining in her laughter. I don't see why not, Charles disagreed. Oh no, Charles muttered as he felt his body tingling. Not now. It hasn't even been a day. His protest went unheeded as his body quickly transformed into Carly. Well, what a surprise, Julia remarked. Maybe the body now matches the action? She burst into laughter again. Allison mused, looking thoughtful, and began chanting. Carly glanced down at her favorite pants, now turned into a skirt, and groaned. Why does this always happen when I'm wearing something I don't want to change? Julia continued laughing hysterically. My goodness, Carly, Allison commented, refocusing her gaze. 2 nights in a row you've shoved a sundae into Mark Reynolds' face. What a waste of good food, if you ask me. I agree with that, Julia managed to gasp between laughs. I felt it, Samantha remarked as she joined Carly for their walk to school. You did? Carly looked surprised. Yep. By the way, your books? Huh? Oh no! Carly quickly shifted her school books to her chest. Samantha chuckled. Did you talk to your mom? Samantha asked. I was planning to, but then I changed back, and that kind of diverted everyone's attention. Let's ask her after school. Okay. So, what should we expect today? Huh? You say that a lot, you know, Samantha teased with a slight smile. Apparently, I've hit Mark with a sundae 2 nights in a row, Carly told her. That's quite a streak when you think about it. Yeah, I guess so. Poor Daniel. Daniel? He's been the target after both incidents. Mark's a jerk, but he won't confront a girl. Carly! Huh? Carly spun around to see Emily Taylor approaching down the hall. Yeah? Look, Emily began, I just wanted to apologize. I don't follow. Well, I thought you were after Mark, but after those incidents at the Dairy Queen, I realized you weren't. I tried telling you that, Carly pointed out. Yeah. Are you two back together? Carly asked, suddenly curious. No, he's still a jerk, Emily declared. I can agree with that. Why Sundays? Well, they were handy, I guess, Carly replied. Such a waste of good food. Seems like everyone's saying that. You're dead meat, Harris, Mark snarled from behind Daniel and Carly in the cafeteria. Carly sighed and turned around. Taking a sip from her glass of Coke, she fixed Mark with a cool stare. You know, Mark, you really are dense. Shut up, bitch, Mark snapped. I shouldn't have been nice to you before. Yeah, you were such a prince. Shut up. I got banned from the DQ because of your geek boyfriend here. He's going down after school. If you can find 2 brain cells in that head of yours, you might remember it was me who graciously gave you those sundaes, Carly said, smiling sweetly at him. And the only reason I'm not decking you is because you're a girl, Mark retorted. How noble of you. Will you just shut up? Mark growled. This is between me and the geek here. He shoved Daniel lightly. Carly calmly removed the top from her soda and regarded Mark thoughtfully. You wouldn't dare, Mark said, backing up a step. Oh. Hit me with that and I might just hit a girl. Well then, I suppose I'd better. Carly abruptly doused him with the sticky soda. Go on, Reynolds, show the school what kind of man you really are, she taunted. Mark roared with rage and pulled his arm back. Before he could strike, the football coach intervened. What do you think you're doing, Reynolds, he demanded, grabbing Mark's arm. She threw her drink at me, Mark protested. My players don't hit girls. If I catch you trying to hit a girl again, you're off the team. But... Understood? Yes, sir, Mark muttered. Get cleaned up, the coach ordered. And young lady, you shouldn't be throwing soda at others either. He was threatening my friend, Carly explained. Next time, find a teacher. Yes, sir. 3 times? Samantha asked incredulously. He just doesn't learn, Carly shrugged, dropping her books into her locker, relieved that the school day was over. What did the coach do? Told him if he tried to swing at a girl again he'd be off the team. Told me to tell a teacher next time. Mark's losing popularity fast, Samantha noted. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy, Carly grinned as they stepped outside the school to the sounds of male shouting. Hey, what's going on? Carly asked, running with Samantha over to the scene. Mark and Daniel, Emily Taylor said as Carly and Samantha squeezed through the crowd. Mark was currently pushing Daniel around the circle, trying to provoke a fight. Daniel just kept shaking his head. You're a coward, Reynolds, Carly called out as she stepped into the circle of people. You can't face me, so you pick on someone else. Real brave, aren't you? Shut up. Why won't you just shut up? Mark shouted at her. Because you're a lying jerk and a coward, Carly spat back, hands firmly planted on her hips. What do you know, you? Mark started, stepping closer and looming over her. Carly didn't hesitate, she punched him. Mark stumbled back, stunned. Carly stared at her own hand, surprised by her actions. I punched him, she muttered to herself. Not slapped, punched. Girls don't do that. She felt the familiar tingle of the transformation spell taking hold. Mark looked up at Charles and rubbed his jaw, clearly shocked. With a growl, he lunged at Charles. Charles sidestepped quickly and delivered another punch. Mark dropped to the ground, motionless. The crowd of students fell silent in surprise. Wow, Daniel muttered. Will you cut it out? Charles demanded as Samantha giggled. My dad sometimes listens to this old Kenny Rogers song, Daniel continued as they walked towards Charles's street. Who's Kenny Rogers? Charles asked. Country music singer, Daniel explained. Oh, Charles and Samantha said simultaneously. He has this song called Coward of the County where this guy who never fights ends up fighting after his girlfriend is attacked by hoodlums. He beats up 3 guys. So? Charles asked. Sometimes you gotta stand up when you're a man. Just not when you're a girl, Samantha added cryptically. Huh? Daniel frowned. Nothing, Samantha dismissed. Just a thought. Okay. See you guys tomorrow? Daniel asked. Yep, Charles confirmed. Sometimes you just have to let things unfold, Charles reflected as he grabbed a Coke for Samantha from the fridge. It's weird being the only one who saw Carly deck him with that punch, Charles chuckled. What's going on here? Allison asked from the doorway. Mark and I had a run-in today, Charles told her. This isn't the morgue. I came out on top. Did you really? Allison asked, studying him intently. Not in the fight, though people might think so. I won something else, though. Allison and Samantha exchanged curious glances. Sometimes you just have to go with the flow, do what feels right. Make the most of the situation and use what you've got. Very true. And sometimes you shouldn't, Allison added, nodding in agreement. Now that's even better wisdom, Allison approved. Speaking of wisdom, Samantha interrupted. Yes? I've been thinking about Gia. It's about time, Allison smiled.